Okay, welcome back, everybody. My name is Chris Anselmo with Brookside Tax and Financial Group. I'm going to try and put in my little light there, so
We could see you. Yeah,
yeah, right, yeah.
you were in the shadows there.
This show is called Road to Retirement. We've been doing it, I think, well over 100 episodes now. So
Yeah,
I think everything's good. So Tony, Shore, how you been today?
I'm doing good. I have been great, Chris. Just busy. This time of year it gets crazy. I don't know about you. I mean, maybe it'll start to slow down. I mean, we're just it's basically Christmas.
Yeah,
When this show goes live, it'll be Christmas weekend. And
yeah, yeah.
so I love Christmas. I mean, I love having all my kids home.
And we got a little snow. We finally got
We
snow.
And in Minnesota, there where my family's from, there's no snow on the ground.
Yeah, we just got
None.
it. We just got it like 2 days ago, so it's still on the ground. But
Oh,
we
wow.
probably got like 3 inches 2 days ago.
Oh, wow.
But not too bad.
That's
So
more than we've had. We haven't
yeah,
had
that
3
was the only
inches.
snow we've had so far, which
Yeah,
is
we've had like a
okay
ha
by me.
yeah, we've had one snow in the Minneapolis area, Twin Cities area, and it was about a half inch.
Yeah.
But Minnesota's dry, and it's gonna be 49 degrees on Christmas Day, they say, in the Twin Cities area, which is a record high, I think,
Yeah.
for Christmas. Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't really checked. So yeah, so it's things are good here. Our daughter came home from Oxford. She's going to
Wow.
University of Oxford
Wow.
in England, and then Gino's working with us now, so everybody's home. So it's good.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
so being that it's a year end, I thought we'd talk about, I think we've done this in a couple years in the past about year end financial strategies or resolutions or whatever you want to call them for the new
Yep.
year.
Yep.
I think it's a good time to reflect. Actually, 2023 has been a pretty good year. The markets have been up.
Yeah, they
Uh,
have been.
yeah, so nobody really knows why. No, just kidding. Part of it's interest rates and things like that. So
Interest rates,
people
yeah.
are, as interest rates go up, then people are willing to put some more money in because the market tends to kind of keep pace with all that kind of stuff. So I think this as we're speaking, I looked the other day. I think the markets were up. I don't know, at least 20% for the year. So
Yeah, the S&P hit a new record high. I mean, that it's doing really good. The markets are way up the end of this year, and I just think that it's been a good year overall as far as, inflation is down, interest rates are finally dropping. And I think, like you say, interest rates affected the market a bit, gave it a boost because the Fed indicated not only are they not going to raise interest rates next year, they say, but they hinted at possibly lowering interest rates.
I was looking for my sheet. I just had a printout of what's the market's been doing for the year, but I think it's up 25%, which is good. And inflation's coming down, but I think inflation was artificial. I don't want to say artificially high. When we came out of COVID,
Yeah.
changed gas prices and all that kind of stuff, it made inflation go up. But inflation should probably run 2, 3, 4% a year.
Yeah.
Generally, it's been super low over in the past half a dozen years. So this is probably where it should be. So a couple of things we were looking at just from a financial standpoint. Taking inventory is always like where what do you have, where you're at today. That's one of the ones we always talk about. Oftentimes for people who are like we call it cash checkers, people who are they have a wage coming in regularly, do a budget. I don't think it's hard to tell people do a budget, maybe spending plan, whatever you want to call it. We try to not use the word budget because it's got such
Right.
negative connotation, but try and find some extra, places where you can either save money or spend less. I think I saw a commercial the other day for another app that helps you track all your apps to see whether or not you're spending too much on your apps. And
Right.
I think the commercial was I had 2 Netflix accounts and I didn't even know it. That type of stuff. So
Yeah.
maybe do a little trimming there, and probably don't need 47 streaming services, right? How much TV could you watch, right?
At one point we had 9, Chris.
Yeah,
And
I
that's
yeah,
more than we were watching. So
yeah.
I got rid of some.
I know our daughter came home yesterday and she went to put on Netflix and it didn't work. And she goes, "You don't have Netflix?" I'm like, I don't know what we have, So I'm like, if the kids have it, then we have it. If we don't have it,
Yeah,
um, so
that's funny.
creating a budget, and you don't have to count every penny, but you do need to find out where you're spending your money, where you can maybe.
But you're gonna save a lot of money and do a lot better and feel a lot better if you have the discipline to once a month. My wife find that we do much better with our spending
Yeah.
if once a month we sit down and actually look at our statements
Yeah,
and go
I
through
think you
our
mentioned that at
spending.
another show that
Yeah.
it was enlightening to go through it and find out
Oh,
what you
very much so.
'cause you
Yeah.
don't really. I think the one people don't realize they're really spending money on is, and it's a necessity though, is how much you spend on insurances a month.
Oh.
There's car, home, auto,
Oh.
life, disability, health. I mean, it's a big part of your budget.
Yeah, health insurance and auto insurance alone, and then, and of course, home insurance, that is just we're paying a crazy amount for auto and
Yeah,
health insurance.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, another one with big one is always pay off the debts if you can, especially credit card debts. Credit card debts are what we call unsecured debts. So unsecured debt, like a mortgage is something called a secured debt where the lender has a lien on your property. So those rates can be a little lower because they have some collateral, right?
Right.
The credit cards are unsecured debt, and that's why they're super high interest rates because the credit card companies get stiffed on a lot of them. So that's why interest rates, I don't even know what they are, 15, 18, 20%.
They
So
were last I looked, they were 25 plus.
yeah. So, I don't know where the usury laws are, but it seems maybe I don't know if the credit cards are exempt from that, but you can't unless you could pay the thing off, you can't get out from under it. If you make your minimum payments, you're going to be paying them forever. So,
Yeah. I mean,
um,
it's basically loan sharking at this point. The interest rates are so high. I don't know how legally the credit card
yeah.
companies can.
Hey, when us Italians did it, they threw us in jail. But
Yeah. Visa and MasterCard.
yeah. And Visa ends in Evolve, for Christ's sake.
Yeah.
Yeah. So try and trim some of that debt. And maybe don't drink at the coffee shops all that often, and make some coffee at home and save a few. You could probably save a couple. I would easily say you could probably save $100
Oh, yeah, and
drinking coffee at home. All right,
some people that
maybe even more. Yeah,
get one 5, 6 times a week,
yeah,
they're gonna save hundreds and hundreds of
yeah.
dollars a
So
year.
maybe that could go towards paying your credit cards. Maybe it go to paying your house or your car or
Sure.
whatever. So I'm not picking on the coffee gum. There's a lot of
Yeah.
places that you can go that you can spend a lot of money. I put one down here and I can't read it. Let's see. Oh, have emergency funds.
Oh, yeah.
It's tough when you're young to have emergency funds, but you need to get at least a couple months. God forbid something
Yeah.
happens and you don't have anybody or anything to fall back on. You need to have a little fund set away. So, the rule of thumb's been 6 months of living expenses, but it's kind of hard when you're young to do that. I mean, once you're older and you got some little money behind you, maybe that's not so hard.
Yeah, I've heard 3 to 6 months,
Yeah.
that you really need that, and, I think everybody needs it no matter the age, at least 3 months.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
that's probably $30,000 to $50,000, I would say, right? Because things
Yeah.
are just expensive today.
Oh,
So
yeah. Yeah.
I went to a bagel place the other day. So I took some vitamins on the way in before I went to come to work, and they were kind of like I didn't have anything in my stomach yet, right? So
Oh, that's bad.
I went and grabbed a bagel at one of the national places, but
Sure.
no cream cheese, and just a bagel, right? It was $2.79 for a bagel. I'm like, look, I only bought one, right?
Right, yeah.
So, I mean, they used to be like 50 cents, right? So,
Right.
just if you eat at home a little more often, maybe you could
Yeah.
cut some of that and build that emergency funds and pay off some debts. I think revisiting your portfolios at least once a year, just to check to see if they're still in balance with your risk scores. We talk about risk scores on other, if you're a 60-40 mix, are you still 60-40? Or if the market went up, are you now 70-30? And maybe temper that back a little bit, or so revisiting portfolio mix is more in line with uh, what's your risk tolerance. And we've talked about risk tolerance and other screen. We have this thing on our website. You could go on the top of our website, brooksidetax.com, and it says get your risk score. So we call it our color of money report. And I'm sure we talked about in other shows. So our color of money, basically, we look at money as like a stoplight, green, yellow, and red. Green is, go safe stuff. Yellow is be cautious, and red is like you really got to pay attention, right? So,
Right.
and so if you can look at your portfolio that way and say, look, I got too much red, either for my age or for I just don't want to be that risky. Now, if you're in your 20s and your 30s, you could have a little more red. I think a lot of people should have red anyhow. They think they should be yellow, right? It should
Right.
be somebody should be watching. So yellow basically is turning the red money into something not necessarily safer, but it's being managed. Somebody's watching it for you.
Actively managed.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Versus just throwing money out in a bunch of mutual funds and you don't know what's because the mutual funds have all kinds of sexy names and you don't not sure what they are, and underlying those mutual funds might not be what you think. It says the Blue Moon Mutual Fund, and there's no blue moon in it, right? So you have to be careful on. But somebody should, if you don't know how to do it yourself, hire someone like us to walk you through it. Spend some time with them, and or have like our back office. We have a team of CFPs and things in our back office that could kind of analyze the portfolio and get under the covers and
Sure.
see what you actually have. We also talk about as you get older, protecting your estate. The issues always are health.
Yep.
There's you want to put money away for. Because I want to say it's inevitable, but statistically, 2 out of 3 people over 70 spend time in a nursing home, and around here it's $100,000 a year easily, maybe more,
Yeah.
maybe $120,000 a year.
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
how do you plan for that? How do you protect assets? And we've had other shows just on that topic, so people go look at other shows or call us at 440-886-3550. So call us about that if you want to talk about that. Look at your beneficiary desk, all that stuff. You don't want to save all this money your whole life and then do something that you're going to muck it up, right?
Yeah.
How do you do it tax efficiently? Where do you take your money out? When do you pay your taxes? Make sure you're taking it out timely. If you don't take it out timely, there's penalties and all that. So, you did a good job saving the money over the years. You want to now be smart about the rest of the way, right?
Right, right. And it sounds like the resolution for the new year for our listeners then to accomplish that and everything we've talked about so far, Chris, is to work with a financial professional.
Sure.
And especially your firm there, you offer professional tax services. That's what you do. You offer, you're a financial advisor as well.
Sure.
You have a fiduciary responsibility to your clients. You're looking out for their best interests, but you can look at the big picture and estate planning. So really all 3 of those are so important. And you even look at, okay, how's your Social Security? Let's maximize that. If you're planning for retirement, those types of things, or financial, you work with investments as well. And so I just think it's a one-stop shop, and you have a great staff there and experts. So I just think that that should be a resolution. And whether it's yourself or someone else, people need a financial professional in their corner.
Sure.
And if they've put off doing that, or if they've thought, well, I'm not, a multimillionaire, I don't need a financial professional. That's not true. They will save money and avoid costly mistakes if they work with somebody like yourself, right?
And I think that's true. And unfortunately, I think it's one area where people think, I don't say this right away, but they're hesitant about paying someone to do that for them. They think they could either do it themselves or, you might be able to fix your car, do your own oil change. But when it comes to your money, if you're not really well versed in this, why would you take that chance, right?
Yeah.
Most of the time, a financial advisor is probably going to charge you less than 2%, right? To actually manage your money. So is it is it worth it, at least initially, to see if you're on the right track? And someone might charge you by the hour, some will charge you percentage. So, but I just think it's worth having a second opinion. Uh, and I think what happens a lot of times is people are so busy, they end up having 10 different accounts at 10 different places, and
Right.
nothing's coordinated, right?
Right.
Because they had different jobs, whatever it was at the time. So it's good at least once a year to revisit your portfolio and
Yeah.
see where you're at. We also have a lot of clients come in. Oh yeah, I got old 401ks from old jobs. I haven't been at that job in 5
Oh,
years, and then
yeah.
like, well, I'm sure no one's watching that money for you either, because you don't. It's like you don't even know you have this money, let alone someone's watching it. So just revisit your portfolio mix. Try and protect your estate. Once you get to that level, make sure your beneficiaries are correct. We
Yeah.
have, we're going. I don't even think we're going to take this case. So some lady came in who's kind of a beneficiary issue. So they have a piece of property that 4 people owned, and the deed did not say with rights of survivorship. So 3 of the 4 have died. Right. So if you don't have rights to survive, so Tony, if you and I own some tenants in common, you die, your family gets your half, I die, my family gets my half. Right.
Right.
Unless we have this joint survivorship language. So if I die, you get it, you die, I get it. So if there's no joint language, so now there's potentially like 3 probates that have to be done to get this. So let's say the first person dies and we have to probate that. Well, then he's got a bunch of heirs, right?
Yeah.
Right. So they're all involved. And the second, I mean, and like I told, like, I don't know how it says play. I don't want this case. Right. So it's going to be, and it's not even in our county. It's like in the middle of Ohio. So, it's just going to be a nightmare. I mean, and they know, can you find all the heirs? I
So
mean,
what would have been the solution? What should have they have done
well, if they would have
in
had,
that instance?
yeah, if and maybe that's how they wanted it, but if they had it either in a trust or some type of entity, it would have been a little easier. Or if they had joint and survivorship language, so now that the 3 of the 4 died, the 4th one would own it, right? But now all those 3 decedents have
Heirs.
heirs, right? So or potentially have heirs, and you got to find those heirs. And
Yeah.
so, say they all have 3, 4 heirs apiece, you could have 20 people on this piece of property, right? So, I don't. There's no easy solution there. So, so you just got to review that stuff, and it happens more often than not. And we see here in unfortunately how I know in Florida, if you have a deed that says husband and wife, it's deemed to be survivorship, right? In Ohio,
Yeah.
Ohio's not like that. So if it says husband and wife, if I die, my wife doesn't necessarily get my half. I'm like, what? So we've had the issues where that's happened. So I don't know if we mentioned. So here's another one we mentioned on another show. The issues and what we're talking about is make sure we review all this stuff, right? So we had a lady who bought a house when she was single, paid it off, got married, put the new husband's name on it, right? So and that's fine. And then the husband died, right? So now 9 years later, she gets remarried and says, well, I want to put my new husband's name on the house, and find out that that whoever did that deed didn't do joint survivorship. So when her first husband died, his children from a prior marriage have rights now in her house.
Oh.
And she's like, what?
Yeah.
I owned this house before I met him. Right. So, so then I said, well, can you find, does he have a will? And she goes, well, he had a will, but it's been 9 years. I threw it out. Like we didn't need it. We didn't need it. So the will actually said, leave everything to the spouse. So she would have got the entire house. So I called the attorney who did the will. He's actually a friend of mine. He goes, I have a copy, but I don't have a signed copy. Like I have the Word version of the, the one on the computer that says give it all to the wife.
Yeah.
But there's no will. So now if you probate it, what's going to happen is the 2 sons from the first marriage, the guy of the first marriage is going to inherit his side of the house.
Yeah.
And then if she wants the house, she's going to have to actually buy them out. And she says, buy them out? This was my house to begin with.
Yeah.
So I mean, things like that where beneficiaries designations aren't right.
Yeah.
And it happens a lot sometimes when a beneficiary dies.
Yeah. But
So,
with a house, you can have beneficiary designations.
oh, sure.
Right.
Yeah.
And that'll help avoid probate messes as long as you keep them up to date and understand what you're doing. But again, the lesson here is work with somebody like yourself. So get your estate in order is another great resolution for the
Yeah.
new year is, meet with somebody like yourself, Chris. I know you do estate planning and
Yep.
yeah.
So we had one just the other day. They have these new they're not new, but they're probably 15 years out. Transfer and death deeds or transfer and death
Yep.
affidavits. So you put
That's
out
what
like
my grandfather had for his land.
so I have I own the house as long as I shall live. When I die, it's going to go to Gino Nicole, right?
Yeah.
So we had one come in. The guy owned two pieces of property, one in the Cuyahoga County where we are here, and one at Summit County. So that type of deed has to be recorded before someone dies, or it's invalid, right? You can't record it after they die.
Right.
So lo and behold, they recorded both of those county deeds in one county, so like the Summit County one got recorded in Cuyahoga County, and the Cuyahoga County one got recorded in. So two of them got recorded. So the one's supposed to be recorded in Summit County, right? So I'm like, oh, the guy died. Luckily, I called the title company, and they knew, let's say it was the Shore, right? I didn't even mention the name. I didn't even mention Tony Shore's name. And they said, oh, yeah, we know. We already luckily, they found that mistake, and they re-recorded it in the new county, the other county, Summit, before he died. But when I looked on the recording website, I couldn't find it. And so they looked in their file and says, oh, I know why they couldn't find it. Because the recorder misspelled his name when he recorded it. I'm like,
oh, jeez.
I'm like, first of all, how did it get recorded in the wrong county? Because the people at the county level, you have to go through the engineer's office. They look, if they're looking at the thing and it says Summit County, why would they record it in their county?
Yeah.
Right. So luckily it got recorded in time because if not, we would have had to probate that case. But stuff like so that's another beneficiary thing. So check beneficiaries, and it often happens with the big one are beneficiaries who may predecease you. What happens to their share? Does it go to the other beneficiaries, or does it go to their their share? So those are things to kind of look at. But I think next year resolution is really just try and save more money. Right, everything is costing it, and it's hard to save. Right. But I think people have to be a little smarter when they're spending their money because gas prices come down a bit, but they're still, I don't say they're unreasonably high, but they're still high. And just the cost of living, when gas prices went up a few years ago, when we all know what happened and gas was $5 a gallon, what ends up happening is the prices of goods have to go up because the goods have to be transported, right? The truckers are paying $5, $6, $7 a gallon, whatever it is for diesel. And so now all the price of the goods have gone up. And now the price of gas came down. I don't see the price of goods coming down. They're like,
no, that never, once it hits a mark, it
Yeah.
doesn't drop. The only price that ever comes down is televisions. That's, I think that is the only product I've ever seen cost less than it has actually gone down in price in my lifetime. Everything else has gone up. Nothing costs less today than it did 10 years ago, except televisions, right? Am I right on that?
You can get 80-inch television screen. I'm like, it's going to be like you're in the front row of a movie theater. Like,
I know. The TVs get bigger and bigger and the prices get less and less. I don't understand that. Everything else, the prices have just gone skyrocketed. I mean,
Okay, so so basically, New Year's resolution is try to shore up on your financial side, and take a little time. Maybe it's like you said, once a month you look at it. Yeah, they don't have to look at it every day, as long as you're not bouncing checks.
That'll help you save money. I'm telling you, you look at your budget or spending plan once a month, or use one of these apps. There's so many apps that work great to track your your finances, or just pull your bank statement and go through it once a month,
Yeah.
and then jot down what your spending is going to be for the next month. That's all you have to do, and that alone will help you save money.
Or,
It'll make a huge difference.
I don't know if people could do this. Could you put your credit card away for a week? Like, buy everything with cash?
Yeah,
Because look, it's easier to and I'm guilty of it. It's easier to spend when you have a credit card in your hand,
yeah, it
right?
is. Yeah,
Because you just swipe it. Oh, throw
Yeah.
that on, throw that on, throw that. But if you only had $100 and you went to the grocery store, you're only spending $100. Right?
yeah.
So I mean, maybe it's not groceries, but could you put your credit card away for a week, a month, and
Yeah.
and see how much that would save you?
And
So,
even your check card, which
yeah,
people
yeah,
think is
right.
the same as cash, but
right.
it's like if you actually have a couple of 50s in your wallet and you know it needs to last you a couple of weeks,
Yeah.
you're going to be more thrifty.
Yeah,
That's
you're
for
probably
sure.
not you're probably not going to spend $7 on a coffee.
No.
Okay, so we're about out of time. Happy New Year, everyone. Happy holidays. It's right around the corner. We're recording this mid-December, but this probably would be maybe our last show for the year. So I
Yes,
don't
it
know.
is. It is
Okay.
our last show for the year.
So 2024 is here. I can't believe it's 2024. But
Yeah.
okay, Tony. Well, have a
right,
safe and happy
Chris.
holidays, and
Yeah.
stay out of the snow.
I will.
All right, take us out.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Chris. And listeners, remember, if you want to get a hold of Chris, what's that phone number and website to set up a no-charge consultation?
Yeah, sure. It's 440-886-3550, or our website is brooksidetax.com. And we actually have a calendaring system on there. If you want to just go on there, you can schedule your appointments.
All right. Well, listeners, that does it for today's episode of The Road to Retirement with our host, Chris Anselmo.